Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm giving you a 101 contour with kristiallure. Check it out. Alright guys, let's get started. So I get a lot of questions on how to contour and how to make it look natural. And there's so many different ways to contour. I mean, there are the basic ways, but there are so many different ways you can make your nose look smaller, your nose look wider. However you want to do it is pretty much what you're going to do. Just the basic rule is you want to darken the areas you want to diminish and you want to brighten the areas you want to stand out. So most people will want to darken, like kind of pinch in their nose area or make their cheekbones stand out. So they're going to really tighten this area and just really pronounce the cheekbone area. So you're going to highlight the top of the cheekbone, but underneath that cheekbone, you want to really contour that area to really make your cheekbone stand out, give you that curvature, I should say, that supermodel, you know, just that really distinct look where you're just getting that chiseled cheekbone. That's probably more appropriate words, is that chiseled cheekbone area. In order to do that, you have to contour, you have to highlight, you have to use translucent powder to set those areas, bake those areas that you really want to like cut in. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that. I'm going to give you more of a basic 101 contouring versus a elaborate, I can't do this. And liquid is very difficult for, if you're not an experienced makeup artist or you're not very experienced with makeup in general, not a makeup artist, but just not experienced with makeup in general, you definitely don't want to use creams and liquid products because it can get kind of messy. And if you don't blend it out well, it's going to look a hot mess. And you don't want to look a hot mess. So if you're not very experienced, I would definitely always stick to powders, especially with highlighters and contours. It's just going to make your life a whole lot easier. It's going to blend out a whole lot easier and you're not going to look like you have a contour. You don't want to look like you have a contour. You want to contour and make it look natural. So I'm going to give you the most simplistic way to do it. And this can pretty much, anyone can do this no matter what shape nose you have, whether you have cheekbones or you don't have cheekbones, a wide face, narrow face, heart-shaped face. There's so many different types of, you know, shapes and of faces out there. So, I mean, if you have something similar to what I have, this would be a great one. But also if you didn't, I think that you could still do this with your contour. So the most simplistic way, to make a long story short. So here we go. So I'm going to take what I like is, I'm going to give you two different powders that I like. I either like the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, which you all know I talk about a lot of the times. I love this palette. This is a very good palette for those who have light skin, medium skin. I think it's a pretty neutral palette, which is good. The ones I tend to use the most are the middle one right there, that yellow one. I like to highlight before I go in with my highlighter, and then I like to use the middle one. So the Lyric and Shadow Play. I absolutely love this palette. And the good part is it's refillable. So, you know, you pay the initial cost, which I'll link everything on the bottom, but then you can refill the pans in the area you want. So I think they're like $14 are the refillable ones. So you're not going to use all those colors. So the good part is that it's a good palette for those who have light skin to dark skin. So you can kind of use whatever ones you want. And I actually like to use them as eyeshadows sometimes too, especially that cooler one, the lighter one. Now, I talk about the Hoola bronzer a lot, and I use this a lot of the times for my transition shade. This Hoola bronzer is like a 3-in-1 for me. I can use it for my contour, I can use it for my eyeshadow, I can use it even as like a blush bronzer. If I had to have certain items in my makeup bag, I would definitely, this would be my must-have. I could not live without this product. It's my go-to. So the good part about the Hoola bronzer is it's warm, but it also has a lot of cool tones in it, which is good. You want your contour to have a little bit of cool tones in it. Remember, you're shadowing that area. You want to diminish the area. So you want your nose to look more pinched in, more prominent. You want your contour to be more chiseled, and you need that. You need the cooler tones to do that. You don't want a real warm tone to go with it. So I like the MAC Give Me Sun bronzer. And I'll go over my contour with this bronzer, but I definitely will not contour with this color. It has too many warm tones in it. It's a beautiful color though to go over my my contour. So that's if I'm like going somewhere really special don't contour all the time. So it depends on where I'm going, what kind of makeup look I'm going for, or if I'm just feeling it. I'm just like, I need a contour today, then I'll contour. But it's not something I do every day. But I think a lot of people just get so intimidated and scared. They're like, I don't know how to do it. I want it to look natural. I want it to blend. And it just seems more complicated than it really is. So the brush I like to use is this MAC 275. I'm pretty sure they still have this brush. It's an older brush, but it is such a good brush. It's a nice angular brush, and it really just kind of fits into that nose contour. Now it's a good eyeshadow brush, but I like it for my nose contour. So this is what you would do if you had so you would take your, I'm going to pull my mirror up. I'm going to pull the big guy out, and I'm going to show you how this works. So I already have my makeup on, but I'm just going to I would normally do this before I did everything. Well, probably before I did my eyebrows, and I always do my face makeup first and then I go in and I do my eyebrows. But I usually do my contour first and then I'll go in with my eyeshadow because I want it to all blend together. So what you would do is, what I would stick is that MAC 275 angled brush. Definitely dust off that excess powders like you were doing your eyeshadow. And what you want to do is, oh, actually, let me pull out this guy too. This might be easier actually. So what I would do is I'm going to take this brush. So say I had not done my eyebrows yet, and I'm going to go to like the eyebrow area right there. And I'm just going to kind of draw a line, a straight line there. So it looks like that. I didn't even put enough on the brush. So you would do that and you would take it there. Oh yeah, there we go. I did a little too much. That's okay if you get a little too much on there because we're going to blend it out anyway. So you would take it and it's going to look like that. Sorry, I should do my middle finger. So it's going to look like that. You're just going to angle it from the eyebrow all the way down to right there. Then you're going to go to the other side and same thing. And then you're going to, remember, you're kind of pinching in the nose area. So it looks like that. Gonna get a little bit more in there. And I'm just drawing the line. So it looks like I have two marks along my nose bridge. So it looks like that. Looks like that. Now it looks a little crazy right now, but that's okay. We're gonna blend it out. And then I would take it underneath my nose, like right here. So it just depends on what you want your nose to look like. You can do it a little bit higher depending on where you want to, again, shade the areas that you want less pronounced. So you want to diminish the darker tones, diminish the area, the lighter tones bring out the area. So just remember that's the rule of thumb. So now what I would do is I'm going to take my IT Cosmetics brush, and I will put this on the bottom. I don't know what number or what brush this is, but it's just like a little like concealer-like brush. It's a good blendable brush. I don't even really know what it's for. I just use it for this and I really like it. So what I would do is I'm just going to blend it. I'm just going to blend that into my skin like that. So you have to contour obviously after you do your foundation. So if you're not one to do your foundation until after you do your eyeshadow, then you're not going to do this till after you do your eyeshadow. So just remember that. You're not going to contour until you do your makeup. And then you blend here. And I already have some like translucent powder, so I like the Charlotte Tilbury number 2 Flawless Finish. So I already have that on this brush. I forgot to mention that. So this color, it's number 2. So it's like a little translucent softening powder. So I have that on this brush already. And now I'm just kind of like blending it. Just blending it into the skin. You can take your beauty blender and you can blend it that way. You can blend it however you want. So I'm just getting it kind of blended into the skin so it's not so pronounced like it was. But you still want that little bit of a shaded area there because obviously that's what's making it look like it's going in. Your nose is going in. Now I've already done most of my makeup, so this is kind of this is something I would do obviously before I did everything. Now I'm going to take my Laura Mercier translucent powder, and this is what I would normally do is I would take that and I would take my Morphe Contour Beauty Sponge. I love this Morphe Contour Beauty Sponge for this reason. And it's already damp because I did my makeup with it. So you definitely want your beauty blender to always be a little bit damp. Now I'm going to take a good amount of translucent powder on that sponge, and now I'm going to stamp where I want it to really get pronounced. Right there and right there. So now I'm just kind of what we would call baking it. And what I would normally do is I would leave that on there while I'm doing my eyeshadow. So then, you know, obviously I would bake that area with translucent powder. I'm not going to do that because I already have most of my makeup on, but I've done this on camera before, so, well, at least the baking part, not the contour. But that's how you would do the contour. So it doesn't have to be that precise, you know, you're just kind of like, you're just accentuating where you contoured, and you're baking the area around it so that it gets nice and set in. And then I kind of go under here because our nose gets a little runny through the day, especially right now with it being so cold. So you definitely want to set your foundation with that translucent powder there. So normally from there I would bake. Now I'm just going to leave that on for a second. I'm going to show you how to do the cheek area. I'm just giving you a quick lesson on this, and something really easy that everyone could do that you won't get so intimidated by it, because you just don't want to think, oh gosh, a contour, I can never do that, because anyone can do it. It's really simple. So I take the same Hoola bronzer. I'm just going to stick with this one. I mean, I like the Kat Von D, but I'm just going to stick with the Hoola today. So now I'm going to take the Smashbox contour brush. I love this brush. It's I think it's more of the travel size one, but I really like it. I like it because it's nice and short too. I'm going to take it into that Hoola bronzer, and I'm going to cut out my cheek area. So right now I already have blush on, so it's kind of defeating the purpose, but I just want to show you guys on camera. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to make that very attractive face and just do like, kind of like suck in and really make my cheekbones pronounced. So I'm going to go like that. And I'm drawing a line right here. Well, let's just pretend I don't have any highlighter on. Let's pretend I don't have any blush on. Let's just pretend, okay? So this would be normally what I would do without the other stuff on after I did my foundation and my concealer. And concealer first. I'm gonna go here and just make the other side chiseled. And I like to about stop right here. That's where I about stop, is right here. And I'm just drawing a line because I'm just making a really tight contour right there. And you can even, if you really want to cut it and you really want that chiseled look, you can take that same brush we used on the nose and draw an even sharper line, like you would do with a cream concealer or a stick or something like that, where you can really get that definitive line in there. And then if I really wanted to really chisel it out, I would take like my MAC 24-hour Studio Fix concealer and I would draw under it. I'm not going to do that right now. You draw under it and just really carve out that area. And then you would take your beauty blender and then you would just kind of make sure you really blend it out. But I would do that before I did the bronzer. So I'm not going to show you that because I already have my makeup on and it will just be a hot mess after that. So, but if you wanted to do that and you really wanted to chisel it out, you can do it that way. If not, if you just want it more of a natural chisel, but not too cut, like a cut crease, like a too cut cheekbone area, then you would just do what I'm going to do right now. You would just take some more of the Laura Mercier translucent powder, or you can use the CoverFX perfecting powder. I really like that one too. If you have really dry skin, you probably want to stay away from the Laura Mercier because it's a little bit more drying. Just, you know, just depends on what skin you have. So now I'm going to cut out that area like we did with the baking that way. I'm going to start right here and cut with that Morphe contour. I love this sponge for that reason. It's just such an amazing all-around sponge. I can contour with it. I can do my foundation, my concealer, everything with it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on that side. Is I'm going to cut here, just like that, right under the cheekbone area. And I start right here. Now, the more you cut in, the more chiseled it looks. And by making that face, you're really like finding out where your cheekbone is. So that's a good way of doing it. So now we have it all baked. If I didn't have my eye makeup on and I still had my other makeup to do, I would leave this on, because the longer you bake, the more it's gonna really like cut in those areas and really define those areas. So just remember that. And if you don't leave it on that long, you're just not gonna get as much of a definitive crease there. But because we're taping and I already have my makeup done and I already did this earlier, I'm not gonna leave it on. So I would take my IT Cosmetics, just a fluffy brush. I don't even know what number this came like in a gift set, so it doesn't even have a number on it. But any fluffy brush will work. And you're just gonna kind of, we'll start here, and you're just gonna kind of dust that off, just like that. So you're just, now, and I'll go over the area that I contoured, the nose area there. Then I'm gonna take that and do the same thing. Just dust it off. And then I kind of like to blend in my contour a little bit there with the excess translucent powder, just to make sure everything is blended. And just kind of go all over. So that's kind of where I contour as far as like using like the cooler tones. That's kind of where I would do it. You just want to make sure that your nose contour is blended in there. You don't want it to look too harsh. So that's kind of how it turns out. You know, it just gives a nice like a little bit of shape and chisel, but not too much. The rule of thumb is just you want to darken the areas that you want to diminish. You want to brighten the areas that you want to stand out. And typically you'd want your cheekbones to stand out. You'd want your little nose highlight if you want, or on your lips. And you can contour even like right here and make your lips look more pronounced. I don't do that. That's just way too much for me. And I'm trying to give you the more simplistic contouring. I can do a more in-depth one if you want, and I can do a separate video on that. But this was just basic 101, how to contour in an easy way for any age group. But I just wanted to make it simple, because a lot of people get so intimidated by it because they think they have to do all this stuff they see on Pinterest or other videos where just like it's just too complex for them, where I just wanted to give you a more softer, easy, attainable contour. So that's pretty much all you do. My next step would be I would take this Morphe, I think this is an R14 brush. I like it. It has like a good dome on it, and also is pretty dense. It's just a really good bronzer brush for me. And I like to take the MAC Give Me Sun, and then I would just take a little bit on that brush and then just soften that contour out. And sometimes you can just use this as blush, and then you can kind of just go under the area, and that's where you could contour right here. All this does is make your face look slimmer. So you're just shading that area. Remember, you're shading the areas that you want to diminish, that you want to look smaller. And then I don't really have a humongous forehead, but if you had like a larger forehead or more forehead space, you would definitely want to go along the hairline with your bronzer. And you can do that with the Hoola bronzer, you can do that with the Kat Von D bronzer, you can do that with this MAC Give Me Sun, and you would just kind of just keep it to your hairline area. And don't go all the way in, just more on the outskirts of your hairline, and then around here. I always say it's a 3-point rule. So you're going 1, 2, 3. Now I don't know if I did that right because I don't have a mirror right there, but yes, I'm trying to cover it up. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and just make that area like that. Same thing, 1, 2, 3. If that makes it easier for you, you can do it that way. The first step I gave you was more to chisel it, and now I'm just kind of softening it with a bronzer. And your bronzers, you could have like a little bit of sheen or glitter to them if you want. You definitely don't want to contour with anything but matte products. You want to stick to more matte products. So I really wanted to just focus on the shading part, just really how to diminish the areas that you're maybe more self-conscious over, and then we'll get into highlighting the other areas. But using the translucent powder and using just those 3 products just makes your life so much easier, and you can contour in a more natural way where it's easy for you to blend. All right, guys, so I just wanted to keep that very short and simple, and I hope you got some lessons on how to contour, just some really simplistic steps, and hopefully you're not too scared to contour on yourself. Just keep practicing. Rule of thumb is stay away from cream products if you're not very experienced. They're a lot harder to blend out, a lot harder to clean up your mistakes. Powders are so much easier to blend, so much easier to fix, if something goes wrong, you just want to make sure that you don't see that contour. Just blend, blend, blend. Practice on yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some good tips. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Give this video a huge thumbs up. Set your notification bell for future videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.